Praise be to Jesus. Hello again, everyone. Charles with you here, and we have some new updates for you. Just hours ago, new Chicago Auxiliary Bishop Mark Bertosik arrived unannounced at Resurrection Parish on Chicago's northwest side and told Pastor Paul Kalchik that he had just minutes to get his belongings together and vacate the premises, or the police would be called to arrest him for trespassing. Father Kalchik was about to perform a wedding. Soon after, Father Kalchik left for an undisclosed location, accompanied by his brother, who had been visiting the parish. Bishop Bartosik performed the wedding instead, hastily slipping out the door of the church only seconds after concluding the ceremony. Father Kalchik has been ordered by Cardinal Kupich and the Archdiocese to report for psychiatric counseling and perhaps confinement yesterday after controversy broke concerning the exorcism and burning of a gay rainbow flag on parish grounds last week. Father Kalchik had also called for Catholics to boycott masses celebrated by Cardinal Kupich due to Kupich's alleged involvement in the current clerical sex abuse scandal. And this is just so typical of, I hate to even call him Cardinal. I mean, he's really, as far as I'm concerned, he's really no representative of Catholicism at all. He's just, living in this unreality of this made up religion, along with, obviously, the Pope is the head of it, but, along with other cardinals and bishops. And these are the people that, when you look at the Catholic Church, you think of, this is the Catholic Church, these cardinals and bishops and this Pope. It's just so upsetting. It really is. After the announcement this morning of the Vatican's new provisional agreement with China, Hong Kong's Cardinal Joseph Zen has issued a statement criticizing it for saying nothing with many words. In the agreement, the Church will now officially recognize the bishops of the Patriotic Church set up by the government. Few other details were given. The Cardinal has previously warned the planned deal would be a complete surrender that gives the flock into the mouths of wolves. He called this week for Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Vatican Secretary of State, to resign over it. And, this statement he says here, where is it here? Saying nothing with many words. Actually, that's an improvement as far as I'm concerned for this papacy. It's usually, confusing people with many words, which is even worse than saying nothing. Well, maybe not, but, there's usually, you know, these statements that come out of the Vatican and the Pope and some of these cardinals and bishops, can be just like a mumble jumble of confusing words that, basically just add to the confusion. Um, and no wonder why there are people still confused. Ugh. Boy, I'm telling you, I don't know what we're going to do. Those of us who really feel like we really want to hold on to the faith that we've had for 2,000 years, and we see what's going on in the church. The people who control the church are just like, you know, disassembling brick by brick the deposit of faith and just tearing it into pieces. And it's just terrible. If we feel this bad, can you imagine how God feels about this? I mean, I can't even begin to imagine. and I mean, everyone in heaven, Blessed Mother, and, I mean, just everyone in heaven has got to be just, it's got to be a very sad place nowadays. A Vatican bishop is rebuking critics of the Holy See's controversial deal with China by insisting the nation, known for its flagrant human rights abuses, observes the common good. Bishop Marcelo Sanchez Sorando, Chancellor of the Vatican's Pontifical Academies for Science and Social Sciences, has claimed in February that the Chinese are those who are best implementing the social doctrine of the church. I remember this story. Now he goes on to say, the critics are very strong in their position. They are loud, but there are not very many of them. They are a loud minority, he said. In our interpretation, the critics are a little minority group of people who wanted to create trouble. The bishop went on to praise China for its fight against poverty and pollution. The country has a large population with good quality people. It observes the common good, and it has proved its ability to great missions like fighting against poverty and pollution, he said. I mean, China is a dictatorship or a communist state, and he's talking about it like it's the greatest government that's ever existed in the world. Unbelievable. I mean, it's just. Let's go on to the next story. This one's gonna. The next story is long, but I'm gonna read all this to you. This is also very upsetting. All right, well, this next article, I'm going to read to you a lot of it, so please excuse any mistakes I make. If I try to get it right, I'd have to do it I don't know how many times, so I'll, I'll try to do the best I can with it. Today, the German magazine Der Spiegel, one of the most influential political magazines in Europe, published a report on the failures of the papacy of Francis. LifeSite News already summed up the parts of this report about the involvement of Pope Francis in a cover up of abuse cases in Argentina. But the Spiegel authors also make a report from their conversations with unnamed prelates in the Vatican, who spoke quite critically about Pope Francis. According to the magazine, one cardinal not only called the Pope effectively a liar, but he also said, from the beginning, I did not believe one word of his. The Spiegel's own comments on this papacy, as we shall see, are no less strong. One of the high ranking interlocutors told the journalistic team that in the Vatican there reigns a climate of fear and of uncertainty. Francis is very good at getting things in motion, a German prelate is quoted as saying, but when, in the end, there is only wavering, that for sure does not help. Examples of such waverings are to be found, as the Spiegel says, in Pope Francis's handling of the debate about communion for Protestant spouses of Catholics. One German cardinal tells a magazine about lies, intrigues, and a Holy Father who, unlike anyone before him, puts into doubt the truth of the faith. The Spiegel comments that the Pope might very well ignore the indications of crimes within his own inner circle because he is interested, for reasons of power politics, in keeping one or another cardinal or bishop in his office. So, in the German magazine's eyes, Francis thereby makes himself vulnerable. He fights for years against global capitalism, but took, like his predecessors, sums of millions from the now rejected Cardinal McCarrick, which he himself had received from donors. Additionally, the Pope praises the value of the traditional family, but then surrounds himself with counselors and collaborators who live the opposite in a more or less obvious concubinage with representatives of either sex. Is the Pope still master of the situation? Asked the Spiegel. It points out that criticism of this papacy, meanwhile, comes from a circle much larger than that of globally connected arch conservatives. One of the problems of this Pope, according to the magazine, is that he is silent in delicate matters, such as the dubia of the four cardinals concerning his post apostolic exhortation, Amoris Laetitia, but also concerning the petition of 30,000 women who have recently requested that he answer the questions arising from the Vigano report. He does not answer these women, he is mute, and he rather leaves the accusations unchallenged that he has known since July 2013 about the doings of the child abuser McCarrick. When speaking about one of the Pope's closest collaborators, Cardinal Reinhard Marx, and his own Archdiocese of Munich, the Spiegel points to the crisis of faith in Bavaria. A part of the problem in the Archdiocese, however, is homemade, it explains. The credibility of the church there, it adds, is being undermined by the facts that a high ranking clergyman of Munich shamelessly places his concubine right in the first pew, and that also in this city there is indignation about openly homosexual pastors and about a unpredictable pope. From the beginning, I did not believe one word of his. These are the trenchant words of a cardinal within the walls of the Vatican. He preaches mercy, but is in truth an ice cold, sly Machiavellian, and what is worse, he lies. Well, what are you going to say about this? It's wonderful that the magazine has the guts to speak up, and the more people, the more media, the more bishops, the more everybody and everything that speak up. Um, it's it really needs to be done, and there's just so much fear. I mean, priests are like afraid, they're jumping from one side of the fence to the other, and, they're being unclear. I mean, I'm telling you, it's just really, and I just can't imagine this is going to get any better in any hurry. It's just hard to believe. It just seems like everything's going to get much harder. So, well, we need to stay strong. So, well, that's what I have for you right now. So, stay strong in the faith, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.